Hi everyone, welcome back. This is day 2 of Unit 1. Today's lesson is called Europeans Explore the East in the 1400s. The main question for today is how did Europeans use religion as a way to get rich in the years before 1500? And the other questions on the screen are questions students asked as part of their homework. I hope that they will be answered today. My first question that I want you to summarize is why did Europeans want to kill or convert people? The tradition of the Crusades in Europe between the 1100s and the 1400s led to a general cultural belief that killing people who were not Christian was a good idea. Doing battle for the Lord was a real belief, and persecuting non-Christians was seen as helping the mission of the church. The Crusades took the form of a reconquista, a reconquering in Iberia. Iberia is this continent here, this peninsula here, and this is the area that is today Spain and Portugal. The Reconquista was where the Christians reclaimed the region here from the Muslim and Jewish people. The idea being that people in Spain or Portugal or wherever should be Christian or should leave. If you decided to stay, you needed to convert and become Christian. Thousands of Muslims were deported, and that's what's going on in this painting here, and had to leave southern Spain for places like Morocco and North Africa. Have you ever heard of the Inquisition? Well, that comes out of this time period also. The Inquisition developed in the 1200s and continued through the 1600s in most places. And the goal of the Inquisition was to find secret Jews and secret Muslims, and also secret witches and other evildoers who stayed in Spain or Portugal or Europe, even after the Reconquista, even after the Crusades. The Middle Ages worldview was one of good and evil and no in between. And if you got caught up in the Inquisition, they would torture you to see if you were really a true Christian. The next question is how did Iberians, Spain and Portugal, have a geographic advantage over the rest of Europe? So here is Europe back then, and here is Iberia. So Spain is this part, Portugal is this part. Iberia has a major geographical advantage. It's surrounded by water on 3 sides. It also has a maritime access, has access on boats to both the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. It's easy to defend because it has water on all these sides, and it makes it easy for people there to travel in and out for trade. Caravels, these funny-looking boats, from this time period are almost always depicted with a red cross on their sails. This is not unlike the red cross on the Crusaders' tunic. The Iberians took the Crusades to the sea. They sent out missionaries. What do missionaries do? Well, even today we have missionaries, people who go out and spread their religious beliefs to new places. And so the Iberians sent out missionaries on boats, kind of. Once these people in Europe knew that there were tons of other societies out there, in Asia, in Africa, etc., who lived non-Christian lives, they felt like it was their duty to go out there and save them. The Iberian Catholics felt like it was their duty to go to Africa and make those people Christian to save them. How did changes in trade lead to bigotry and negative stereotypes? This is complicated, but the short answer is that the Crusader spirit extended to the whole world. The idea was to take over the whole world in order to save it. If we find non-Christians, we convert them, or fight them, or torture them, or enslave them, or kill them. Religion was the main defining feature of a person's identity. Muslims and Jews faced bigotry for many reasons. Bigotry means persecuting somebody for their beliefs. So you want to think of bigotry like racism against beliefs or something like that. So it's a stereotype. It's a mistreatment for your beliefs. There were some stereotypes. Merchants in the Middle Ages in places like Portugal and Spain were there to trade with the East, Asia, and so forth. But as soon as Portugal and Spain could trade with Asia and Africa and the Americas directly themselves, they had less and less need to buy from middlemen like Jews and Arabs. And these Jewish and Arab traders who charged high prices now seemed like they were cheating their customers. Jewish and Muslim traders were also stereotyped Because of the Crusades and the Reconquista, many Jewish and Muslim traders who had lived in Iberia were refugees or were homeless, and so they seemed extra shady. Slavery had existed in the Mediterranean ever since the times of the Roman Empire. And the second way we see bigotry against people based on religion is in the slave trade from the East. Christians in the Mediterranean would buy non-Christian slaves to work on their sugar plantations in places like the Azores and Madeira and the Canary Islands. At the same time, Muslims would buy Christian slaves to work on their farms and plantations in North Africa. Slavery in this time period was a result of what religion you are, not your nationality or race. And you can see that in this painting here, where the enslaved women who are up for sale are of a variety of races. Enslaved people were taken during wars all over the world, taken captive, and brought to be sold. One place that did especially well in this Mediterranean slave trade was Venice, which we think of as this glorious city. A lot of its wealth came from trade, legitimate trade in the Renaissance, but a big chunk of that trade was in the trade of slaves. How did colonial rivalries develop between Spain and Portugal? Over the 1400s to 1500s, Portugal sent missionaries to Western Africa. We already talked about this, but especially these areas right here. Congo Kingdom was one of the places they converted, right in here. Spain sent explorers to the America to claim it, and the idea was that the Spanish explorers would convert the people there to Christianity, or if they didn't convert, kill them in the name of Christ. We have Columbus here doing exactly that. He's claiming America for Spain. Portuguese explorers en route to India took a quote-unquote wrong turn. Right here, this red route, they were supposed to be going over here to India. They took a wrong turn, whoop, over here, and landed in Brazil and claimed it for Portugal. This developed into a rivalry between Spain and Portugal, where the two names wanted to claim ownership of all this new land by virtue of being the first to claim it. Spain believed for a while that they had landed in India, and Portugal had landed in India. And then Spain believed they landed in America, and Portugal believed they landed in America. And either way, they didn't know who got to have this area and who got to have this area. Because the Pope was the ultimate authority in Europe, the Pope, the head of the Catholic Church, and because the Spanish and Portuguese thought of their goals as at least partly missionary, the Pope negotiated a treaty to divide the entire globe into two pieces between the Portuguese and the Spanish. The Spanish get to have all of the Americas and a little bit of Siberia, and the Portuguese get to have all of this area for their missionary and trade purposes. Our last question is about the new sailing technology. How did it work and why did it need so much training to use? It looks simple because it's just these little objects, but it's so complicated to use. Prince Enrique in Portugal famously set up a navigation school for sailors, and this navigation school would have been something that was needed because the tools are pretty complicated. This is an astrolabe. You can use it to figure out the height of constellations of stars to tell what latitude you're at. This is a compass to tell you which way north is, even when it's cloudy. This is a ship's log. It's like a piece of wood attached to a rope, and you tie knots in the rope every certain amount of space. You knock this over the edge, and then you time how long it takes to get a certain amount of rope out of the boat, and that tells you your speed. If you've ever heard someone say the boat was traveling 6 knots or whatever, that tells you the speed. And then the last major invention was the caravel. These boats, some of which have some square sails and some triangular sails. The square sails mean you can sail with the wind, and the triangular sails mean you can sail against the wind. So now, with all of these tools, you can go anywhere you want in the world as long as you know how to use them. That concludes our lecture for today. Go back and summarize these 5 questions in your notes and submit them for your classwork.